In this question, we are going to take a look at analysis of a pie chart for qualitative data. How do I know this is qualitative data? Well, this is budget of a family. So we can see from the chart that 20% they spend on food, 15% on entertainment, 10% on utilities, 15% on savings, and 40% on housing. Now, this data is qualitative because the values are words such as housing, savings, and so on. You cannot add food plus entertainment. That does not make sense. This is qualitative data. The first question says, what percentage of their monthly budget do they spend on entertainment and food combined? So entertainment is 15%, food is 20%. If we were to add them up, we would get 35%. So that's pretty easy. I don't even need a calculator for that. Now, for this question, it says, if their total monthly budget is $3,000, what is their monthly expense on utilities? Well, utilities is 10% of their budget. So we are trying to find what is 10% of 3,000. Now, let me show you how easy it is to get that from Desmos. If I were to type, okay, so I need to resize it and it's not working. So what I do sometimes is I use Control minus to zoom out. Then I can resize it. And then I use Control plus to zoom back in. So that sometimes works because it's hard. It's sometimes hard because this is in a sidebar. So the size of this window is kind of hard to get right, I guess. Okay, so what we want to do is figure out what is 10% of 3,000. So what we'll type in Desmos is just type 10%. And the moment you type percent, Desmos says 10% of what? And you just say 3,000 and it tells you that that's $300. Now, if you wanted to do this without a fancy calculator, you would have to convert 10% to a decimal by dividing by 100. That would be 0.1. And then you would multiply that by 3,000 and you would get the same answer. Now, this question is the trickiest one. This says, if Millers spend 1,200 on housing, what is their total monthly budget? So here, we're actually trying to solve an equation. So we have to set it up first. So let's see if I can set this up for you. Now, let me denote by X the amount they spend on total, on monthly budget, right? So let's say X is the total budget. Total budget. Okay, so let's see if I can write this down. So they spend 1,200 on housing. So you will say 1,200 is, well, what percentage is the housing? 40%. So we'll say 40% of the total of X. Now let's convert that to an equation. So we're going to say, okay, so 1,200 stays here. The is going to become equal sign. So is or is equal is the same thing. The 40% needs to be converted to a decimal by dividing by 100. This is going to be 0.4. Right? If you take 40 divided by 100, that's 0.4. The of is becoming multiplication, and then x is x. Now, to solve this equation for x, you want to divide. You want to do an operation that's opposite of multiplication, and that would be division by 0.4. That'll cancel 0.4 and isolate x on the right side. So this cancels that right here. So all we really have to do is just take 1,200 and divide it by 0.4. So let's get ready to do that. And that's going to give me $3,000. That would be my answer. Now, by the way, you can check this by saying that 40% of 3,000, well, that's 1,200. So I know that I got this right.